University of Michigan great Braylon Edwards. And of course, Maz are about to take over on Woodward Sports. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m., it's the best Detroit sports talk on Detroit's best sports network. Woodward Sports.
Hey, let's go Wednesday show, February 26, 2025. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on X, good afternoon to you. Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you, my friend. Happy to be with you on a Wednesday.
Appreciate that, Lee. Hey, I know I told you my birthday was this past Friday, so I did enjoy it. I did have some fun. I took an extra couple days off to get myself together this week. With that said, I'm back in the building, and in the words of Varnell Hill off the Martin episode, did you miss me? Back in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be back.
Amen to that. Tom Mazaway out today. The Maz
He's
chair.
running from me. That's what we're running from each other.
The Maz chair, very sad today. The Maz chair, very sad today. Getting no love and attention. Want. Maz will be back tomorrow. God bless him. Yeah, wanted to say that. Also, Ricky Burns.
Here.
Pete Spivey.
There he is. It's like roll
What's up,
call.
boys? Good morning.
Presents.
Good afternoon.
So my son is in karate, does karate lessons.
Sweet.
And,
Nice.
When the sensei
Cobra Kai.
does a little, roll call. It's Luke Ermanni,
Hey.
So maybe that's what we should be doing. Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway, Tom Mazaway, Ricky Burns.
Ricky's ready. Ricky's ready.
He's ready.
I spoke when I wasn't supposed to.
Guys, lots to get to today. Tim Twentyman is going to join us, DetroitLions.com. Some really good things on DetroitLions.com from Twentyman about what to look for this offseason. And for the Lions, look, we have talked about.
Before we do that, one thing I did notice, I haven't been here a couple days, so the excitement, we've been talking about all the Detroit teams. We're talking about the Pistons, you're talking about the Red Wings, talking about what the Tigers are going to do, although they made the playoffs, and then the same with the Tigers. I mean, the Lions, it's starting to be everywhere. Did you notice Ian Rappaport had a story the other day? I want to say it was Ian Rappaport, and he was talking about the Pistons. Or maybe
he did.
Yeah, it was, and that's not his.
It was Albert Breer, I believe.
Thank you, Albert Breer, maybe it was. But yeah, they're talking about the Pistons.
Best story in the NBA.
Best story in the NBA. Who was the best story in baseball last year at the end?
Tigers.
Was it Tigers?
Yeah.
Who's been the best story in the NFL for the past 3 years?
Detroit Lions.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Red Wings.
Well, the best story in the second half so far has been the Red Wings. I mean, what are they,
100%.
19-7-5
Yes, they
or
are.
something like that? Something
City
ridiculous.
Detroit's on
like
fire,
that.
man. Proud.
Without question.
Had to get that in.
Absolutely. I'm glad you did, Braylon. Plenty of Pistons talk later today. I believe you're going down to LCA tonight to see the boys. Wanted to get to this, though, because I saw this this morning, and this story is the second biggest story to me because I think Matthew Stafford is the biggest story this NFL
And you
offseason.
called that. You've been saying that.
I think Myles Garrett is obviously 1A and probably here in Detroit squarely number one story here locally. But this was from Jeremy Fowler on Get Up today. Myles Garrett, the Eagles would not want to see him go to the Washington Commanders. If that was to gain traction, Howie Roseman would likely step in and try to make a deal that is too hard for the Browns to refuse. So I said this when we first started talking about Myles Garrett. Even if you don't believe that you absolutely need Myles Garrett on the Lions, you did not want to see him in Green Bay. You did not want to see him in Minnesota. You don't want to see him in Chicago. You certainly don't want to see him in Philadelphia. And you probably don't want to see him in Washington. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl with the most dominant defensive line play that we have seen in quite some time. And they now are in on Myles Garrett.
Wow.
And one of the main reasons, one, to make him better, but 1A, because they don't want to see him go to a division rival, which would likely be the Washington Commanders. This is a game of chess and not checkers, and I hope Brad Holmes is playing that.
Yeah, 100%. I hope Brad Holmes is playing it as well. You know, we've both been talking about this for a couple weeks, different sides of it, and now it's coming together. You talked the part, look, at least get him just so you keep away from other individuals like other guys did. Odell Beckham, the game was keep away with the Rams. They didn't want Green Bay to get Odell. Odell helped them win the Super Bowl, even though he tore his ACL in the first half. I said, basically, you got the Eagles. If they're willing to risk it all, in whatever they're risking to get Myles Garrett, considering how good that defense already is, that should just let you know. That should give you a sense of what this player Myles Garrett can do for any one of these NFC teams. Side note, we'll be interested to find out what's going on with Jonathan Allen. He's one of the best players defensively for the Commanders. He asked out. With that being said, everyone's fighting for this. It doesn't matter anymore. You don't want Myles Garrett to go to any one of these teams that they mentioned. You don't want to go to the Commanders, the Eagles, Green Bay, Chicago, none of the teams in your division. You don't want that to happen. Now it becomes a game of keep away. And by the way, it's keep away with a player that can change the complexity of what you do.
And that just goes to show you how scary this league is. Like, they just won a Super Bowl and they don't care. They're still trying to make sure that they block one of the best players in the league from going to a competitor, even though they're right now the best team in the league. That's crazy.
No doubt about it.
I agree with that. Not to cut you off, Ryan. Even if that's true, I think it's also another side. They just want to keep striking while the iron's hot.
Right.
That's the side I'm talking about. The keep away side, definitely a serious element of this. But they just want to keep striking while they're hot. They got a team in place that you saw what they did to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Spags and all these people that we've given credit to for the last 5, 6, 7 years. They dismantled them. They want to keep their foot on the gas, which is what you should be doing. If this isn't the move for the Detroit Lions, you still have to make another move at some point to keep your foot on the gas, because momentum can turn around. It can go the other way. So just from a gas perspective, I want the Lions and Brad Holmes to pay attention. They're trying to keep their foot on the gas. Take note.
No question about it. And again, here's Brad Holmes yesterday talking about the overspending on free agents, because obviously this is in a situation where you would have to overspend on a player like Myles Garrett. But show me the Super Bowl champion that does not have a guy like Patrick Mahomes that drafts their way to a championship. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Here's Brad Holmes yesterday talking about overspending.
You guys have questioned me in the past about how much, what is a big spender in free agency? Well, you know, a $6 million guy, $8 million, $10 million, $12 million, that's not pocket change, which we've done that in the past. So I don't know if that's the 15 to 20. I don't know what that number is, but obviously, you know, it does put a limit to how much you can actually spend externally in free agency when you're trying to keep your guys that, you know, because what you want to do is you want to keep the known good players, and, you know, you don't want to compromise them to overspend on unknowns.
So you want to keep your own players and spending on unknowns. And one of the things that I said when I joined yesterday's conversation, gentlemen, was that, you know, is this a little bit of posturing from Brad Holmes? Like, I'm not going to take him at his word at that podium. Yeah. You know, he's signaling to Cleveland or anybody else that is out there with a potential deal. Maybe it's the Raiders. I don't believe it is, but maybe it's the Raiders, or maybe it's somebody else that has an elite player that may be up for grabs. You're not going to play your hand and say, yeah, we're so desperate to get a defensive end, we're going to do whatever we have to do it. And I mentioned this analogy yesterday, Braylon. It's not like when you walk into a house and you say, "Oh my God," to the realtor, "Oh my God, I love this house." Right. That realtor knows that he's got you by the, you know what? You got to play the game. So that's what Brad Holmes is doing. I'm not going to take him at his word for anything that he says there.
Yeah, I think this is the period when you get to the draft, when you get to this right before the draft, right now, before everybody's trying to get a sense of what you want to do. And yeah, you don't want to tip your hand. Like, behind closed doors, you definitely want to be in a space where you're making the calls, you're doing the things necessary, you're vetting the process, and you understand that a move like this can help your defense. But when you're talking to the media, you're talking to the podium, you don't want to show your hand because you don't want to spend extra money if you don't have to. You know, you don't want to close a door that could be open. So you just keep it cool, keep it casual like you did at the podium. But I don't want to hear too much of this now. Right? I don't want to hear too much of this.
You know, it does appear, and Brad Holmes used these words, and you're going to hear from him about it in a minute. It does feel like the Lions are at a critical juncture in their stage. And by that, you know, they've had all of these younger players. Some of them have already been signed to long-term deals. More of them are coming up. You have this opportunity to where you are an elite franchise or among the elite franchises in the NFL, and you will have to make some decisions. This team, this organization has been built through the draft. They would rather draft and pay their own players than pay somebody else's players, essentially get guys in free agency or any other method of acquisition, of transaction. But this is the way the Lions have done it. It has served them well. It has worked for them.
Yeah.
But now, is there something more that needs to happen? Here's Brad Holmes yesterday at the podium.
Commitments that you have, salary cap, the guys that you've already signed, and then maybe coming up, how does that impact any sort of decision when it comes to those top players?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because there are a lot of decisions that we have to make because we're at the juncture with our roster right now that we have identified a lot of young core pieces that we want to keep around, and unfortunately that's the tough part is that you got to make decisions on other players, contractually that you might not be able to keep that you want to keep. So it's not more so due to you don't want to have the players anymore, but you just can't have everybody. I really kind of looked at it just at the start of this year that okay, yeah, we had the first round pick in 21, and we already, basically rewarded already. But, 22 we had 2 ones, in 23 we had 2 ones. Well, in 23 we had 2 twos that year too that we had graded as first round picks. So that's like 7 first round picks in total that all players that, yeah, we like them, but then you start adding on the other one, non-first round picks of the St. Browns, that already got rewarded. You got a Kirby Joseph that was a third. You know what I mean? So that stuff starts adding up, and you got to make some tough decisions. We've already started a lot of that work already in terms of the preparation and planning, forecasting, because whatever you do this year is going to impact financially the next year after as well. So it's a lot of work to be done.
And that video from Nolan Bianchi, Lions beat writer, Detroit News.
Hey, here's an interesting point. I want to read this. This comes from Cody Ingles. Shout out to Cody Ingles, always in the chat. Fans and media need to understand we aren't keeping every name on the roster or chasing big names. We have to get away from marrying the name and not marry. We have to get away from marrying the name and not staying married to the mission. That's essentially what he was saying. So what would you have the Lions do? You want to stay married to the mission that is draft the players in the offseason, and that's how you're going to bring this team like how it is? I understand that. The Lions have had a lot of success in the draft, and a lot of those players have become, for lack of a better word, some of the best players in the NFL. Talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, etc. But at the same time, in the last 2 years, you have not closed at the finish line. A lot of other teams, most teams in the NFL, they find a way to bring in set free agents that can help you. You want to stay married to the mission? All right. You want to stay married to Davenport, who got injured last year, coming up already being injured? Are we staying married to Zadarius Smith potentially? Zadarius Smith is 32. Now, you guys are the one that always talks about how old players are once they cross 28. Well, Big Z is 32, and he looked a little bit like 32 towards the end of last season. Is that the mission that you want to stay married to? Look, I'm all for it. What Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have done, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride. But now we're at that crux point. Based off of last year, who knows if the Lions are even going to win this division?
Right.
I know it hurts to say it. It's all good. It's analyst work. We can have this conversation. You just got to keep the momentum there. I don't know what that move is, but something has to be done by the Lions in the offseason to keep that momentum where it was, where we thought they were going to win it at one point. Now it's like, yeah, we think so. It used to be the Lions are going to win. Now it's, I think the Lions will win in this window. That's all. We're just trying to infuse something to the squad, man. I think it's a real conversation, Pete.
I was going to say, can I pay you guys a compliment, and especially Ryan yesterday when you called in. I want to pay you a compliment because you basically answered the whole question right there. Because Anson is kind of agreeing with Cody Ingle. Just so you know, Bray, Anson, is still doing the building through the draft thing, which I'm not saying that Anson's way off. I think Anson is correct, but I think that what you were talking about, Bray, about taking that next step, and that's what Brad Holmes was talking about. Not overspending, but taking that next step. You said it, Ryan. What starting jobs are open? There aren't. You take draft picks 1 and 2 to help develop starting jobs. The starting jobs are already filled by the young core. Now it's time to develop, take gambles on younger players. This is the time to spend those draft picks and to get that player to put you over the edge. And again, guys, if the Philadelphia Eagles are proving to you that they're going to sacrifice whatever they have to get the one player that they think they need to keep the ball rolling, I think the Lions need to do the same.
Well, thanks for that, Pete. And I do think when you look at this team and, what do they have, 6 draft picks this year? How many spots do they have available on the 2025 roster that need to be accounted for, that they maybe don't have contracts for right now, like a Carlton Davis? Carlton Davis, but they expect probably to sign Carlton Davis. Like, in their mind, when the business end of things settle down or get accomplished, how many roster spots do the Lions have, let alone starting jobs on this team? So maybe 6 to 8 I mentioned yesterday, and through free agency, and that's generous, by the way, I think. Through free agency and the draft, how many players do you actually think you need to fit to this roster? So, Ricky, I think that's part of it. And by the way, I listen to Anson a lot. When I'm not here, I've got other commitments that I'm doing, so I don't listen a lot. Yesterday, I listened a lot. Anson's crazy, man. I'm telling you, he is crazy. I love that guy. I love listening to him. Anson. He adds so much.
Had him in a match chair.
He adds so much. He is
animation,
wild
research.
I love that dude. I love that dude. We are lucky to have him as part of our show here weekly. I mean, that is great stuff.
It's funny when we first started doing the show together. Like Anson, the back and forth interviews. I've known Anson for a very long time. Like I remember him back in the days when the Pistons were winning. We talk about it all the time. But doing the show together, like that back and forth, I'm like, man, this guy gets me riled up. Pause. So I'm trying to learn how to not be riled up. But in that space over the last couple months or so, I just really enjoyed my time with him and our back and forth. But he's really good at what he does.
He's good. Yeah. You got anything, Ricky, on that?
Back to your point, and you were talking about how many roster spots. And think about it. Even the backups got to play a lot this year. So, you actually know what they can do.
Exactly.
So, it's that even knocks
not much
more spots off. Yeah, forget the picks, man.
Yeah,
go get them.
Right.
Can I do one more real quick, Ryan? Please, I'm sorry.
Please.
Do you remember what Brad Holmes said about how that even with the injuries, that even the backups were considered starters? That they were also that proves how deep the Lions really are.
Yeah, it's Braylon says this a lot, and I've heard it before, but Braylon really reiterates it and drives the point home here on our show. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Yeah. If you're standing pat, you're getting worse. And it does feel like the Lions' off season is adding a depth guy, adding a bunch of second stringers. Doesn't it feel like that? And I don't know that to be true. Yeah. But it just feels like they are going down the road where we're going to add some depth.
Okay.
We're going to add, maybe a 6th offensive lineman, somebody that can play a couple of different roles. We're going to add, a defensive lineman here, but we're not going to add somebody that can come in and, play 70% of snaps on defense for us or anything like that. I don't know. I could be totally wrong about that. That is just a feeling that this is an off season about adding depth and not adding outstanding talent.
This is the feeling that I hope that I get from the Lions off season, okay? Here we go. We're going to have a conversation. Nobody's going to yell at each other. We're just going to listen, all right? Lions don't have to get Max Crosby. Lions don't have to get Myles Garrett. Lions don't have to do that. This is what I need to see from the Lions at least, though. Will you indulge me? I need to feel like the players that they're bringing in, whether it's through the draft or free agency, aren't if players. I feel like last year, there's a lot of if players. We're going to re-sign Emmanuel Mosley because if he stays healthy, he's really good. I like what I saw out of him. That's why we bought him. We're going to sign Davenport because when and if he stays healthy, he's this player. We're going to draft Terry Arnold because we know he came out of Alabama. And if he can be what he was at Alabama or be like other Alabama defensive players, just players, period, we got a pretty good if I need them to start picking players that they know. Whatever is in the draft, however they want to scout it, I need when they pick a player, you can look at that player and say, yep, I understand what the Lions are doing here. When they bring somebody in free agency, whatever it is, whatever position, I understand why they brought that guy here. I don't need to be like, if this works, if this player stays healthy, if this draft pick can catch on because he's from insert school here. I need a bunch of, this is going to be a guy. Ennis Rakestraw is an if. Terry and Arnold, no matter that they moved up, he's an if. Carlton Davis last year, he worked out, but he was an if. Davenport, an if.
Do you think the injuries may have them scarred a little bit? Maybe they're nervous. They're like, maybe we need to make sure that we have the depth just in case we lose. Because even if they lose half the players, that's still 12.
Right. I think it is, and again, I don't know this. I'm basing my opinion on what Dr. Jeff Pierce has told us, I think 2 weeks ago, in regards to Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson is a top 5 defensive end in this game. Yeah. I don't think there's any question about it. But if the expectation is that Aiden Hutchinson, a year after this surgery, a year after this injury, is going to be the Aiden Hutchinson, the top 5 Aiden Hutchinson guy, I think all of us
he won't be there
are
right
being naive about how bad that injury was. Now, if he's a top 20 guy, is that still good enough? If he's a top 20 player, is that still good enough? Or do you need him to be that top 5 Aiden Hutchinson guy? Because according to Dr. Jeff Pierce, that we had when we talked to him a couple of weeks ago, it was the 2026 season that he expects Aiden Hutchinson to be absolutely the top 1, top 3, top 5 guy that he was before the injury. I'm just going based on that. So if that is the case, even if you get top 5 Aiden Hutchinson, which I don't think you will, it was a horrible injury. He's going to come back. He's going to play. But is he going to play at the level you expect Aiden Hutchinson to play at? Do you believe the Detroit Lions are good enough right now, if they're healthy as all get out next year, to win the Super Bowl?
Without Aiden?
With Aiden. I'm saying with everybody coming back.
Right.
Carlton Davis, Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, everybody coming back. Are they good enough to win the Super Bowl next year if they just add a couple of depth guys?
I said this what was my last show? Thursday. I said that same conversation. My answer is yes. Like, everybody comes back that was on the team and healthy in regard, and we think they bring back Carlton Davis, etc. I think they have enough to win. Will they is a different question, but that's not what you asked. You said, do I think they have enough? Yes.
Well, then all of this is a moot point then, if you think they can win the Super Bowl. Because, as somebody said in the chat, this isn't about winning the offseason.
Yeah.
But, teams around them don't stand pat either. I think Minnesota will get worse, but I think Green Bay and Chicago will get better.
Whoever made that comment got to watch that, because last season the Eagles won the offseason and they also won the Super Bowl. So you got to be very careful when you say that. The guys that they drafted, we heard about the secondary. Cooper DeJean had a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Right. Quinyon Mitchell, do I even need to say his name? In the backfield. So you got to win the offseason.
Yeah, right. You think of teams that won the offseason. Philadelphia with Saquon Barkley. San Francisco to a certain extent during the season with a midseason trade of Christian McCaffrey. It was just 2022. It was just 4 Super Bowls ago. The L.A. Rams won the offseason by acquiring Matthew Stafford. Before that, Tampa Bay won the offseason by acquiring Tom Brady.
Antonio Brown,
right. So, I mean, the beat goes on and on here. It just kind of does feel like that, to win the offseason splash. Even to a certain extent, I mean, remember the Chicago Bears a couple of years ago when they got who's the defensive player?
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack, yeah.
Khalil Mack.
Montez Sweat.
Montez Sweat.
That was during the season.
It was during the season, but remember how much better they got?
They beat us.
It is amazing.
Or did I make that up? They beat the Lions.
I think so. It is amazing when there's one player out there like a Saquon Barkley that could make everybody around them better. And even that's one of the reasons why I wanted the Tigers to get Alex Bregman. Of course, Bregman's bad, but Alex Bregman improved certainly 3, but I think upwards of 4 different positions in the field and in the lineup. Just his one bat. And I think a guy like Myles Garrett could do the same thing. And we mentioned yesterday, Braylon, Terry and Arnold, people talking about Terry and Arnold, all this stuff. If Terry Arnold is on Philadelphia, in my opinion, you could have a different one. But if he's on Philadelphia, he's only got to guard the guys for a second and a half.
100%.
He's probably a Quinyon Mitchell getting all the love like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
I agree, because they drafted who they were supposed to 2 years ago. No, 100%. With that.
Are you talking about Jalen Carter?
I mean, look, I get tired of bringing it up, but I did yet again. It makes it that much easier. I'm just thinking about the Eagles and how loaded they are.
Yeah. No.
The Lions are a damn good team. It's just one of those things where can they win next year with the team as it's currently constructed, if healthy? Sure, because we believe they could have did it last year. But each year there's more.
Right.
Each year there's Each year there's more film. Now you got a whole nother two offensive. You got a new offensive coordinator. You have a new defensive coordinator. Things aren't going to be the same. You don't have that same edge. Are you going to have the same trick plays? Are you playing the same schedule? Things change. You always got to stay ahead of the curve. You always got to get better. I don't need the Lions to go out and make that move. That's not what you need. But I also know that if they make a move like that, it changes. It makes it easy. It gives you a little bit of leeway. It gives you a little, you know what? Don't have to necessarily play our best game because we have this, that, and the third. So everybody wants reassurance. Everybody wants a little more backing, as you say, adding more depth. The hell with the depth. Add the players that you know change the game up.
Damn.
Remember when Big Z first got here? Remember the influx of energy?
Right.
Even when he's on the sideline coaching against the Houston Texans game, he's getting guys.
Yeah.
He's so excited to be here. It's new energy. Sometimes you need new energy. Sometimes you got to have new energy. And what better new energy than the player that's best in what he does? The player that's still young, the best at what he does. He brings new energy. He brings new teaching. He just also brings, I want to effing win, much like you guys do.
How much of this offseason, too, if you just think about the offseason as a whole, how much of this offseason, based on what one player's demand was, that he wants out, if he did that quietly and none of us know that Myles Garrett behind the scenes is trying to work on a trade or insisted to the Cleveland Browns front office that he wants out of Cleveland and he wants a trade, we're not talking in these terms.
That's true.
We are not.
Point.
There's probably – who would be the player out there that you would talk about the most in terms of a free agent for the Detroit Lions or a trade prospect, somebody that was available, not a pipe dream like a Max Crosby. I'm talking about
Chase.
like a Josh Sweat or a Chase Young.
Chase Young,
you know,
Khalil Mack from the Chargers. Is
exactly.
Unrestricted. But we're here.
Right.
And the reason why we're here is because the Detroit Lions, one position has hampered and bothered us for the last 3-4 years in this new regime. I'm not talking about the past, I'm talking about this one. It's the defensive line. It's the defensive line. It has been the conversation. Yes, DJ Reader, he played well in the run stopping when he was healthy. Aleem McNeil was turning into a monster. Aiden had a compound fracture that I don't know if you guys understand, like Ryan said, how difficult it will be. You saw that video and got excited when he's running straight ahead. Right. And I commend him for that. He's definitely ahead of schedule. But there are so many more things that come back into getting back into the game. It's the PTSD part of it. It's the mental aspect of it. It's trusting yourself. It's then getting in a rhythm. You got to do all that just to be able to get back to comfortability. Now you got to get back to that 97. That takes time. And we still don't have the other side shored up. So this is always going to be the conversation. Conversations now a little bit more exciting because it's a guy that's not too far from here that really wants to be here or somewhere like here.
Let's get to a conversation about the coaching staff. That's what Dan Campbell focused on yesterday at his press conference in Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine. You'll hear from what the head coach has to say about some of his new coaches. And while we're talking about defensive players, we'll start with Kelvin Shepard, what Dan Campbell says about Kelvin Shepard and his expectation for the Lions defense. We'll do that next, but first, a message from Caesars.
That's right, everybody. Get ready for the gambling season as baseball is approaching, and also the playoffs for the NBA and NHL are getting ready to start. So you might as well open up your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account by scanning that QR code above my head and use the code word over there, Woodward 1000, $1,000 to open up your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account. When you do, deposit at least $20 and make your first bet of $20 or more. If that first bet happens to lose, you'll get that first bet back as a bonus bet up to $1,000, but only if you scan the QR code above my head and use the code word Woodward1000 to open up your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account. We'll be right back.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Head to WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
Dreaming of a new home but feeling that financial pinch? I know you are, man. Mark White and Associates are your trusted real estate experts, and they are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right. I said up to $5,000 of your closing costs. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242, or you can visit them at markwhitesales.com. Again, that number, 248-290-8242, to make your dreams come true.
Shep was somebody that I've always believed that Shep could be an outstanding coach. And about 2 years ago, I just felt like, man, this guy is he'll be ready to be a coordinator sooner than later. And so AG and I had talked about it and tried to give him more responsibility over the last 2 years. And with that in mind for him, man, this is the next step. This is the next step. Without telling him, nothing was ever promised, but and man, I felt really good about that. Like, he's ready. He's ready. And the coaches that are in that room, Deshae Townsend and Jim O'Neill, Dave Correo, moving Ham, Sean Dion Hamilton, which was under Shep, to linebackers, and then getting Casey Rogers D lineman. It's a veteran coaching staff that understand ball, and they're going to supplement him well. They're going to help. But he's ready. He's already, it's been great over the last, call it 3 or 4 weeks here. So
that was Dan Campbell at the Scouting Combine talking about Kelvin Shepard, the new defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, who he has had great faith in, who he told Aaron Glenn a couple of years ago that this guy would take the next step at any point after Aaron Glenn moved on and got a head coaching job. They didn't tell Shepard that, but that was their plan for him all along. It's awesome. I love it when you see a guy grow internally and he becomes that guy, and we'll see if he can get the job done now.
Yeah, potential is worth nothing if you don't have follow through. They saw the potential in him, and we saw it too on Hard Knocks. We saw Coach Kelvin Shepard really took our eyes away from the rest of the coaches, maybe Aaron Glenn, maybe Deuce Staley, who always had something to say. But Kelvin Shepard, man, he's gotten better and better and better. His players, his position. You know how you want to judge coaches? Like, don't judge the rah-rah. Don't judge when you see guys yelling on the field or guys grabbing face masks or guys pushing guys or pointing. Don't have to look at all that. Just look at the players and the positions that are getting better. When you watch his linebacker position from 2020 to 21 to 22 to 23 to last season, that position has gotten better and better and better. Jack Campbell took a hell of a leap. How much did he have to play? Because Anzalone, who took a hell of a leap from year 21 till last year with the injury, Jack Campbell took a turn. So you got to love Kelvin Shepard. He stayed the course. He's gotten better. And now he is going to be a leader of the man because he's the defensive coordinator. My dad texted me.
Shout out.
Shout out to Pops. We were talking about positions that are open or the players. He said there's 6 positions.
Okay.
There's middle linebacker,
Okay.
there's CB, there's a wide receiver, there's DN, and there's D tackle. And this comes from Pops.
All right. So Pops is in agreement with me, right?
100%.
6.
Yeah.
6. I said 6 to 8. 6.
100%. You need that third wide receiver. What's that going to be this year, maybe?
So there's 7.
Well, that's what
Right.
Yeah.
No, but that's great. You know, one of the things, Braylon, I think you're the perfect person to talk to about this because you've actually been there. There's one person in this room that has played in the NFL. It's not me.
You never came out of the game.
I did. If we're talking high school football in the Macomb area conference, I never came out of the game. But so Dan Campbell media session lasted about 17 minutes yesterday. I listened to all of it. It was a pretty insightful listen. One of the things he talked about was the importance of the coaching staff. He said he told Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn out the door that the most important thing you will do as a head coach is hire your staff. And I think I was surprised by that answer. I mean, I know it's important, obviously, but I would think that, he would have said something along the lines of, you got to get your guys to buy in, or you got to, get the building to buy in. You got to do X, Y, something, culturally, build a culture. You've got to hire a good staff. That is the most important thing you will do as a head coach.
Yeah, because all the other stuff is understood. And to do that, you got to have the right staff. You got to have the right guys. Look, Dan Campbell, we give him so much credit, deservingly so, for what he was able to do, the staff that he chose here in Detroit. But Dan Campbell, we give him all the credit. But Kelvin Shepard deserves some of that credit. Deuce Staley, when he was here, deserves some of that credit. Antoine Randall deserves some of that credit. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and the list goes on. They hired a great staff. How many times, once the team started moving in the right direction, we didn't say this when they were 3-13-1, but once that team started moving in the right direction, what did we talk about? The staff, the former players, understanding. The moments that you see with Antoine Randall and Jamison Williams last year, the moments you see with Aaron Glenn and Terrion Arnold or Kirby Joseph last year, and then how they get better in real time. Like, your staff is important. You get the right guys that are going to come together with the same ideas that you believe in, whatever type of coach you are, you'll get the players because you guys are on the same page. This is what we notice as players. Like, when you got to go to one coach for one thing and another coach for another thing, and this clique of coaches, it makes it tough. It makes a team a tough, what's the word I'm looking for, an experience. It makes being on a team a tough experience. But when you got coaches that get to the message differently, as they say about certain things, like get to the message differently, but it's still the same way to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the message may be, like, the route is different, but the message is the same. I think that's where I was going with that. The message is the same with Dan Campbell and his staff, no matter who he's fired, who he's hired. So with that being said, hiring your staff is right, because if you got some guys that are going to cut corners, not pour into these players, guys that don't want to be around, guys that want to half-ass it, well, guess what? Your players are going to not necessarily want to be around all the time. They're going to want to half-ass it. You got to get guys that are dialed in, and that's what Dan Campbell does. So I think the message is right because you know the buy-in part, but it's the coaching staff that you hire that can get players to buy into a thing.
And this is fairly new for Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
He has had, for the most part, Braylon, similar coaching staff for the entirety of, sure, there's been some tweaks. Sure, there's always attrition here and there. But, you know, you look at even Scotty Montgomery changing positions. John Morton, Tashard Choice, Caleb Collins, Bruce Gradkowski, Jim O'Neill, David Shaw, Deshae Townsend, Dre Thompson, Marcus Tuiasosopo. I mean, there's a whole list of guys that he had to hire as well. Here's Dan Campbell talking about hiring seemingly almost a completely new coaching staff himself.
Well, the most important thing you'll do as a head coach is hiring your staff. And so I had to do that already one time. And then over the course of, you know, the last 4 years, other coaches that have come and gone. And so this was the biggest, this is kind of the phase 2, man. This was the, you know, to reload the coordinators and different position coaches. So I wanted to take my time and do it right. And so, you know, I had a lot of interviews, and really sat them down, got to know them, kind of figured them out a little bit, what they take. The football is there, but it's really about the mesh, the chemistry. You know, I'm big on that. So that was a big part of it. And I think
Funny you mentioned Marcus Tuiasosopo. Freshman year, my second game of the season, I was playing, obviously, you know where I played at. We go out to Washington, and we play Washington. And Marcus Tuiasosopo was cold, man. He had a cold name, and he actually was a real good player. This is when I went against Reggie Williams, who also wore 1 and was a freshman in 2001. But anyway, long story short, Jim Harbaugh, this goes back to hiring your right staff. I'm going to make it really make sense. Jim Harbaugh, he came in, right? Ryan Ermanni, Jim Harbaugh gets to Michigan 2015. He's the guy. He's the chosen dude, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't get his players to buy into exactly what he was teaching you. Most players that went there, with the exception of Jabril Peppers, who was up for a Heisman, didn't necessarily have the best experience. Said his door was always closed. Said we couldn't reach him. Felt like it was him and there was us. And Michigan's record reflected that. They couldn't win top 10 games. They couldn't win bowl games. They couldn't beat Ohio State. They couldn't beat Michigan State. In 2020, obviously, COVID happens, but 2021, look at how the staff changed. Staff got younger. Staff got to be players that coaches that players rock with, players vibe with, players understood. The door got to be open. When he changed his coaching staff, when he brought in the right coaching staff, it changed. The buy-in changed. You can talk about all that cheating and all other stuff you want to. That has nothing to do with the buy-in. Blake Corum came back for his senior year. Donovan Edwards came back for his senior year. How many players came back? Because they bought into what Jim was saying. That staff is very important, and it took Jim 6-7 years to realize it.
I want to talk about some of the offensive changes that Dan Campbell has made on his staff. And again, the entire session was about his coaching staff, with the exception at the end. There was some, I couldn't really hear the question, but it was something about adding a big-name free agent. So do you have thoughts on adding a big-name free agent this offseason? He says yes. Like he had thoughts.
Yeah, Dan's good at that.
Right, he didn't share his thoughts, but he did have them. Here's what Dan Campbell has to say about his new assistant head coach, Scotty Montgomery, who's moving from running backs now to wide receiver.
I think this is going to be great for us. You know, Scotty's a huge asset for us, and what it does is, you know, he's an excellent coach, all right, and so now he gets that whole receiver room and the pass game as well. You know, he's going to be a huge part of our pass game, just like David Shaw is going to be, but he's going to have a huge impact. It's been run game, running backs now, and he's coaching more guys, and he'll have a big impact on the pass game.
So that's about Scotty Montgomery. What about the Lions' new offensive coordinator, John Morton, and the running backs coach, Tashard Choice?
And then John Morton, I mentioned this before. We were together here in 22. I've been with him with the Saints. He was kind of part of the group when we put this thing together. He was a part of this, and so I felt like that was the best move for us, was to get him back here. Somebody that I have a lot of trust in, faith in, golf knows, comfortable with, and he's got a good rapport with Hank, Brew, and then adding the additions that we have with, obviously, David Shaw. Those two go way back, he and John Morton, which was big for us. Tyler Roll, young guy, Iowa State running back coach, and then before that he was coordinator out there at North Dakota State. So interviewed him 2 years ago, and I was close then. And then this year was the right year, and then to get Tashard Choice was big. I didn't know if we were going to be able to pull that off, but that's outstanding. He's going to be great for us. He's probably one of the most coveted running back coaches come out of college in a while. So he's going to be great for those guys in the running back room. Certainly he's got a rapport with Gibbs. I think Montgomery's going to like him and help those guys get better.
What's the biggest hurdle or the biggest challenge that a guy like Tashard Choice, college to the NFL? For players, we know what it is. What about for coaches?
Coming in and coaching players that are as good as the guys he's going to coach. He's coming in coaching a guy that's all pro. And Jahmyr Gibbs, at least here it is to hear us here in Detroit. He's coaching a guy in Dave Montgomery that we love. But when you come in and you coach guys that are that good, you don't necessarily know how to coach them. You can be a little intimidated. You can be like, oh man, what's this guy going to be about? Like, what's his MO? What is he like? Like, can I coach him hard in a meeting, or is he going to have some type of attitude? And now it's going to piss off the rest of his day. Like, what type of player is he on the field? If I tell him, hey, pick it up a little bit, hey, these are real concerns, but he doesn't have those concerns because, one, he knows Jahmyr Gibbs. They already have their relationship from when he was at Georgia Tech. And two, Lions players are different because of what Dan Campbell has implemented. They work hard. And it started from the guys that started here. It started with the bedrock players like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. They work hard. They give their all. They're not skimming in practice. Guys get the running backs. You hear the old school adage about how every time Barry took the ball in practice, he'd take it 20, 30 yards down the field. Well, that's what Jahmyr Gibbs is doing too. That's what David Montgomery is doing too. So that can be an issue. Like, I remember when I first got to the Jets, Henry Ellert, a.k.a. Hank. What's up, Coach Ellert? He sat me down when I first got there. He said, Braylon, look, man, I want you to give you all. I said, Coach, look, I said, I'm so happy to get the hell out of Cleveland. You won't have no problems out of here. I said, I'll be on time. I'm going to work hard in practice.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to do all the things. But he was trying to get ahead of the curve. He wanted to see what type of guy I was. You know why? I was a wide receiver. Diva position. I'm drafted 3rd overall. So it's a real concern sometimes. I mean, if you don't know Jahmyr Gibbs and you don't, now you know because you can watch players online. You can see players in clips. You see them on social media. So you kind of have an idea on what to expect from a player. Like, those guys are so nice whenever you see them do interviews. Like, David Montgomery is nice. And the first thing he said when he came to playing with the Lions was, I don't care what I have to do. I just want to get on the field. So that can be what it is, but it's not going to be that for Tashard Choice.
Hey, one more about the coaching staff. I got a chuckle out of this, actually. If this is the bite I'm thinking it is, Dan Campbell talking about D-line coach Casey Rogers. Listen to this bite, and then I'm gonna tell you why I'm looking at Dan Campbell like this.
When I was a player in Dallas, he was our assistant D-line coach. So that was the first time I had met him, and and then I coached with him at the Miami Dolphins. So I've seen him coach. I know what he's like. I know what the D-line's like with him coaching them, and so I've always thought really highly of him. I was fortunate to coach with he and Terrell. So when I knew there was a chance to get him, he was going to be available, it just made sense. I think he's going to be great for our D-line. I think Hutch and those guys are going to really like him, gravitate to him. And he's one of us, I mean, he's about doing it the right way, hard worker, sees the game well, understands scheme really well, and, man, he knows the fundamentals and grinds on those guys.
Okay, so that wasn't – it was a little bit later on in that bite, but he talks about losing Terrell Williams. Thinks that Terrell Williams is the best defensive line coach in the NFL. He knew once Vrabel got a head coaching job, Mike Vrabel, that Williams was going to go back with him. So he loved having Terrell Williams for a year, but once Vrabel got the job, he knew he was going to leave, so it was sad to see him go. So later on in that, he says, Terrell Williams, best defensive line coach in the NFL. If he's one, Casey Rogers is two. I just love that for talking about Casey. No disrespect to Casey Rogers, but
he's just
Oh yeah, 1 and 2. You got the 2 best defensive line coaches in all of football.
You got to appreciate Dan's.
I love it.
You got to appreciate the authenticity, because even in moments like that, Dan is still going to be Dan. That's another part of the conversation with getting ready for this upcoming season and the moves that you got to make. That's another guy that's not going to be here. That's another coach. Look at that defensive line. I know everybody got hurt at some point, but look at how Aleem played before he really got hurt. Go back to that Colts game when he's going against Quentin Nelson, who's one of the best guards, centers in the game. He dish-ragged him the whole game. Like, look at DJ Reader when he was playing. Like, Terrell Williams did that. And that's why Maz was so excited that he was coming. Maz talked about it all. That was the best acquisition, including the draft for Maz. Like, he's not here. Like, it's going to be a fun year for the Lions because you're going to see how good this team is. I can't wait for Dan Campbell to get his chance to really put his stamp. I think now would know Aaron Glenn, Ryan. Now would know Ben Johnson, Pete.
That's right.
Now Dan to get the credit or whatever else comes with that.
The coaching tree starts.
So I want to put this up. So Dan Campbell also said the most important thing, the only thing he cares about at NFL Scouting Combine Weekend, the only thing, formal interviews. And this is who the Lions have put a request in for formal meetings.
I got to zoom in real quick.
No, that's great. Leave it.
I can't because of the sponsor at the top.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's fine. So this is their formal meetings list for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to ask you a question, Braylon Edwards. What is the one thing you know about all of these players? What is the one thing in common with all of the players, every single player that the Lions have had a formal interview with?
They've drafted.
Right. I know the answer, but I'll wait.
Go ahead, Pete Spivak.
That would be defense.
All defensive players.
All defensive players.
Every single one of these players plays defense.
Yeah, you're right. I'm tripping.
All edge and linebackers. All edge and linebackers. Not one player on offense will they have a formal interview with this week.
That's interesting.
Isn't that?
That's very interesting.
I like that.
You won't even talk to them.
I love it.
I don't think that's what you need.
That's
what this draft needs to be, and this is the type of information. When I said I want to make sure that the ticks that they make or the picks that they make, that you know the guy is going to be. I appreciate this. The defensive side of the ball got better last year, but because of the injuries, we weren't able to see certain players and certain things, and now here they are injured twice over. This is going to be big. The offense is what it was. You're going to get an offensive line somewhere. This is a heavily stacked offensive line class, so you'll get a lineman somewhere in there. But you know where you are on offense. And I think the player or two that you may take on offense, you already know what it is. This is what you need to focus on, so it makes sense.
No doubt.
Hey, you see that. How many edge rushers are on that list?
All right.
Yeah, let me put that back up.
And I couldn't tell you if one of these guys could make the difference. I don't think they could. I don't think Mike Green makes all the difference. I don't think so. I don't know that.
Right.
But you know what? That's what the draft is, right? I mean, the draft is a crapshoot. Half the guys are going to make it. Half the guys aren't.
But here's the thing. That one particular player not. But now you had 3 of those names on the team. Now that might change who you are. That changes the tune if you hit on all 3 picks. So it.
I was gonna say, didn't your dad,
Bray? Schools up there.
Bray, didn't your dad's list that he just sent us? I think he had 4 defensive openings.
Oh, he had,
I think it was 4
linebacker.
defensive openings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike linebacker.
Jack Sawyer.
This is here. Hear me out on Jack Sawyer.
Okay.
All right. Hear me out on Jack Sawyer. Has nothing to do with the school that he's gone to. Last time I checked, we have people that played Ohio State on this team, and I give them credit all the time.
That's right.
This is my thing about Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer, and what we saw on the field, is soft. It's soft. There's no soft players here. There's no soft players under Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions. Jack Sawyer is soft. Because when it was going down on the field with Michigan, with the flag and all that, Jack Sawyer didn't want to do anything.
Yeah,
Jack Sawyer was barking from afar.
Yeah,
Jack Sawyer was barking when he was off the field and guys were on the field. Like, I need real dogs. I don't need guys like playing dog.
Yeah.
I need dogs. And what I saw, it's not. Because if that would have been insert Michigan player on defense and it was here, it wouldn't have been so sweet, as they say.
By the way, when you look at that list, and you don't have to pop it up.
Gotcha, buddy.
You don't want Pete. But
No worries.
Mel Kiper put his first round.
Oh, I got that.
Or his first mock up.
I'll zoom in on
players. If you could just zoom in on pick number 28 for the Lions, and maybe the last 6 or 7 players in that list. They've got him taking, or the Detroit Lions drafting the linebacker from UCLA, Femi Oladipo. Oladipo. Shows you how much I watch UCLA football.
Right? Big Ten football.
You know, I always like to see who's after and who's a little bit before.
Okay.
Nobody seemingly that would have any interest to the Lions. I don't think they're going cornerback, safety. I don't think they're going offensive line. And those are the players.
Yeah.
Or those are the positions that surround the Detroit Lions right now. I just that's where that is right now. So again,
shout out, man. Like, defense is starting to go the way of the Nigerian. I don't mean that in any type of disrespect. Just like we saw the wave and influx of the Polynesian culture into the NFL now, same with Nigerian. Nigerian is dominating the defensive side of the ball. And so I watched a couple of games this year, not too many because it is UCLA. He's a wrecking ball in the man-child. Like, he is everywhere. And he'd be a good fit linebacker-wise because you got Alex Anzalone on one side, Jack Campbell on the other. You need that dominant guy in the middle that we talk about. It doesn't have to be Fred Warner, but Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, linebackers like that, they help the defense out tremendously. And you mix it in with Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell. That's
true.
These two quarterbacks won back-to-back Super Bowls just a couple of years ago. Tom Brady for Tampa.
Who?
Matthew Stafford for the LA Rams. Will they be working together once again? We'll have that answer for you coming up next. But first, a message from Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential. And actually, hold on, let me grab this for you just to show you what I mean. What I say, you see that right there? That is my official Black Card membership. So I will be joining you, and who knows what gyms I might pop into. I will be going to Planet Fitness because your fitness is essential and they understand it. Also, it's fitness that fits into your budget. They're not trying to hit you over the head. It is very, very affordable. It always has been and it always will be. There's no judgment. It's a judgment-free zone. There's a trainer with every membership. So even though I got this fancy card that says Braylon Edwards 2025 is your year to get stronger, you can get a membership and a trainer with any one of those memberships. And last but not least, you know what I'm saying? Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You know, you guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
I think you won. We got Tully, everybody. This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Head to WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
Hey, Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. We take the chore out of getting a haircut. Our talented stylist will deliver an industry-leading haircut, relaxing scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome. If I could just say something about if you've never been to a Lady Jane's, you are missing the boat here.
Agree.
Guys, I understand going into the barbershop, and I appreciate it. I've got no problem with that. It's great. You go in, you walk in, you get a quick cut, whatever the case may be.
Talk some sports.
It's a freaking experience to come in, relax, treat yourself a little bit, get a hot lather neck shave, maybe a shampoo, something.
Have you gotten a scalp massage?
Oh, yes. The scalp massage. Yeah. Have I gotten it? I am the king of the scalp
Is
massage.
Is it worth it?
It's worth it.
I was thinking about it the other day.
Even, Becca, I'll even get a shoulder rub.
Right.
Sometimes.
You big though.
No, man.
I don't think that's on the menu. Right. I think that's just for you.
No, it ain't for me. I mean, if you have maybe, I don't know, a little bit of a rapport with somebody. I don't know.
I've gone in there. I've gotten the full treatment. I've gotten my head shaved.
Right.
I had
You
the
didn't
full
get the
scalp
full treatment.
massage.
You don't have hair. How you get the full treatment?
Hey, because Lady Jane's is the place for guys. They do such a great
wax
job.
On, wax off.
Also, too,
wax on, wax off, baby.
That's it.
Also, the location, like literally where it's at, Maple and Haggard, it's in Birmingham. Everything is around here. Even inside the own building is Birmingham roast. Food is really good. The coffee is great if you happen to be a coffee drinker. It's just a lot to do around here.
I mentioned this earlier. I want to get your thoughts on this because I did not see this one coming. Tom Brady is actively recruiting Matthew Stafford to be the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. This is from Jordan Schultz. Raiders minority owner Tom Brady recently hosted Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana, where they spent some time together and went skiing. Brady has been actively trying to convince Stafford to join the Raiders, and discussions are ongoing. Several teams have interest in Stafford. If the Rams decide to move him, the Las Vegas is believed to be the most aggressive suitor. This is the move for the Raiders, though. When you look at that division, and you've got playoff team with Mahomes, you've got playoff team with Chargers, you've got playoff team with the Broncos. You're the Raiders. You're clearly on the outside looking in on that. Now you've got a Hall of Fame head coach, and you will have a Hall of Fame quarterback to compete in that division. You know the line in Rocky? It's Rocky 3, actually, when Apollo and Rocky go back to the old gym.
Right.
In LA.
In LA.
Yes.
And Rocky says to Apollo, it usually takes, Paulie 5 or 6 years to win. Why you got 5 years? Let me tell you, the conversation between Pete Carroll and Tom Brady and everybody else that is involved with the Las Vegas Raiders, Pete Carroll ain't got 5 years.
Yeah, no.
Was it 72?
Right.
He actually may not have 5 years.
Pete Carroll ain't got 5 years.
Realistically,
So this is a win-now situation.
Neither is Matt Stafford. The time is ticking. He's been playing at a high level, but the time is ticking. By the way, that's one of my favorite. Not that scene, but the scene when he said there is no tomorrow. But neither here nor there. Brady understands it. How much money do they have in cap space, in cap room? And how much money do the Raiders have? That would be interesting.
Let me find it for you, buddy.
Matt Stafford fell into a nice situation where you had the offense was rocking and rolling in terms of how they liked with Cooper Kupp.
Nearly $100 million, $92 million.
That
in
is
cap
correct.
space.
Well, then, yeah.
Yes.
Well, then there it is. Because you have enough. quarterback's not going to be outrageous because the quarterback is in the
$50 million a year. He wants $50 million a year. And he'll get it.
He'll get it.
Top 5, top 6
he'll
quarterback.
Get it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Front load him in the first pause, and then he'll whatever he wants to do. But 100%, like you got to strike while the iron is hot. If you get Matt Stafford, the individual that understands it.
Hasn't this quarterback roulette? And there's a story that Aaron Rodgers says if Matthew Stafford leaves L.A., he wants to be the quarterback for the Rams in L.A. short term while they maybe develop somebody else. Aaron Rodgers.
Did you see what came out with him saying he wants to be the quarterback in New York?
No. I didn't see that.
He came out early. He was like, if they can't find a quarterback, he was like, he would entertain the thought of playing for the Giants.
Oh, playing for the Giants.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's funny. Like Aaron, like nobody's like calling his name.
Right.
It's like,
he's flirting with the team
100%.
instead of the flirting.
But he was playing really good football at the end of last year.
Yes, he did.
I think people, at the end of the day, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But people can't get over what happened the last 4 years. They can't get over him being 41 with the Achilles and all the other stuff. And last year not being in OTAs or training camp because he wanted to be over across the pond. Like, team see that.
Either way,
stuff.
let me just my point on mentioning Aaron Rodgers, even just as a footnote in this conversation, isn't all of this quarterback roulette, even the fact that he went to the Jets, Stafford went to the Raiders, Brady went to Tampa, Russell Wilson went to the Broncos, and then the Steelers. Isn't all this quarterback roulette, which really didn't happen in mass like it does now, didn't happen to like pretty much Brady left for the Bucs. Sure, you had the Joe Montana to the Chiefs, but it was the end of his career. And you had a couple of the other situations. You had Brett Favre to the Vikings and the Jets at the end of their careers.
Was cooking.
These are Super Bowl champions now, quarterbacks that are really moving at mass. By the way, programming note, Tim Twentyman will reschedule with us. He is in Indianapolis at the Scouting Combine. A couple of interviews popped up for him, so he apologized, but he has to reschedule with us. So want to make that note because we teased that out for right now.
That's because football has gone the way of basketball. Basketball, like, look, if your team sucks, after a couple years, you can look up and like, I don't want to be here. I request a trade. I want to get the hell up out of here. How many times we see James Harden do that? KD insert star. And it's been that way for a while. Now the NFL can catch on. Right. I don't have 7, 8, 9 years to waste. So I don't have 5 years on this contract to waste if you're not going to take it serious. You know what? Let me go somewhere. I'm actually getting older or whatever. You see what Myles Garrett is doing. Like, he's under contract. I want out. Like, you guys don't focus on winning. The quarterback position, when you get older, Matt Stafford knows he's got a lot in his tank. And he wants to go somewhere and win again and be valued at the position that, he's been balling at the last 5 years, including a Super Bowl win. So you now can just say, trade me, send me here, or give me an opportunity. That's why they put those trade clauses in.
Was there any doubt when Tom Brady was approved for ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders that he would be the face of that organization?
Of course.
He wasn't going to be some silent partner.
No, not at all.
No, 100%. Because this is what Tom can be great at. This is what he can be great at. Now, that desk, I don't like Tom, and Matt said it long ago as well as you. He's not going to be good on the desk, and he's not, and he isn't. But in that front office, as a face of the team, trying to figure out what players and the identity and things like that, he can be great at that. He watched John Elway. Now, he'll be more, I guarantee you, in that camera than John, but he watched what John Elway did. I know that he wants to do the same because the Denver Broncos, when John came on, they were a franchise that was struggling, much like the Raiders, and it's in the same division, realistically.
Well, again, and it's just another example of a guy that, they're in a win-now mode. Everybody thinks that there are these teams, and maybe, when you look at Cleveland with Myles Garrett, or you look at the Raiders with a Max Crosby, maybe these owners and general managers do know what they're talking about. Maybe they are like, we know that in football, if you have a quarterback, if you have a left tackle, if you have a defensive end and one linebacker, you give yourself a pretty darn good chance to win every Sunday.
100%.
So you aren't that far away if you could just get the quarterback. And if there's a quarterback out there like a Matt Stafford, or I know this is completely unpopular, but, if you're the LA Rams, you're going to sign Sam Darnold, you're going to sign Aaron Rodgers for a year, and maybe if it is no good, then you get somebody else. You get, I mean, can Rodgers play? I don't know. But I'd take a shot on Aaron Rodgers for 1 year than say that Justin Fields is my starting quarterback.
I think I can answer your question.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I think I can answer your question with an example. The Buffalo Bills. Are you really? I think the Buffalo Bills answer that question. I think they're a very basic team with good talent, but nobody that really. I mean, they re-signed Khalil Shakir for 4 years, $60 million. He doesn't scare me. James Cook is a great running back, but he doesn't scare me. There's nobody on the Buffalo Bills that absolutely scares me, but yet they keep winning with a great quarterback, a good left tackle, and it's just exactly how you mentioned, Ryan. I think the Buffalo Bills are an example of what you just said.
Now, again, McVay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sean McVay saying that it is their priority to keep Matthew Stafford, but they're going to do so responsibly. I don't think they want to give him $50 million. I don't think they want to give him $100 million, a 2-year, $100 million deal. I don't think they want to do that.
And I wouldn't. They've already accomplished what they needed out of the situation, which is a Super Bowl. And that Super Bowl was 4 years ago.
And they were one drive away from making it to another one.
This is true. This is true. So I think it lived up to what it was supposed to be. Now you don't have to double down on this situation if this is not what you want to do. I like if I'm the Rams, I keep Stafford.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been Stafford's fault in these last 2 seasons. You look at what happened 2 years ago. You can argue there were 2 calls that if they go the way of the Rams, Lions don't make it to the NFC Championship. You know what I'm saying? And then even this year, I guess a lot of ifs. But once again, if it wasn't snowing and you were playing in Philly, you would have beat that Philadelphia team, and you would have been playing against the Commanders at home, mind you.
Right.
No,
it was a bad game for the Lions offense in that game against the Commanders. There's no doubt about it. I do, one of the guys making the rounds this week at the NFL Combine, your former offensive coordinator, the new head coach of the Chicago Bears, which, by the way, Dan Campbell was asked about Ben Johnson if he considered trying to block the interview to the Chicago Bears because it was in division. He said no. He's like, he's done that before, but he doesn't feel good about it. It's not something he likes to do, and he's not going to stand in the way of a guy getting a raise. I think that is the right thing to do.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, it makes you feel like a little, you know what?
Yeah, no,
and you don't want to feel that way as a grown man.
No. But Ben Johnson, this was making the rounds yesterday. Former Lions offensive coordinator, very excited to now have a mobile quarterback in Chicago.
Out of structure, the off schedule, the creation, that's what stands out the most, because that's really the way that this league's going right now, it seems like. As much as you want to make it pure progression, 1 to 2 to 3, there's just too much variety. The pass rush is coming down, and to have an athlete like Caleb extend the play and potentially find an explosive down the field, that's what gets me going a little bit. I get excited thinking about that. Because I haven't really been around that since I've been in the league. But I've been on the other side, and I've experienced it. And it's demoralizing when you're on the other side and you're watching that happen to your defense.
When you come down the stairs and you open up a new Christmas gift and it's a shiny new toy, do you as a person look at said shiny new toy and you're so excited about that, or you're excited about last year's toy that you've played with ad nauseum now? Pause.
Yeah.
You're excited about the shiny new toy.
Yeah,
For Ben Johnson to say, I'm so excited to be around a guy that can play off schedule. I've never been around that. The game is moving in a direction where it's hard to go from second, third, fourth progression, next level progressions. And if you've got a guy that can just play off schedule, that is where the league is going. I've never had that. I'm excited about that. What do you want him to say?
Yeah, I feel like the people in Detroit need to leave him alone. Like, if it bothers you that much, then stop watching what he's going to say. When you see him at the podium, you have the opportunity to change the channel, or you have the opportunity to skip the clip. Like how I rhymed there. But no, you have that opportunity. Like, just leave it alone, because his job is to make his players feel like, oh, look, he's happy to be here. He's gassing me up. He's green-lighting me. This is what time it is. But then also, too, there's nothing wrong with telling the truth. How many times do you think Jared Goff and Ben Johnson had jokes about Jared Goff not being a mobile quarterback? The rushing yards last year, they had, what was it, like 78 or whatever it was? Like, you got excited about it. I was like, oh, man, I guarantee there were jokes about that. Jared Goff knows he's not mobile. The Detroit Lions fan base knows that Jared Goff isn't mobile, and so does Ben Johnson. So what he's saying at that podium, it is the truth. So, once again, if you don't like what Ben Johnson is going to say, you can change the channel.
That just reminded me of how excited we all were when Jared Goff caught that touchdown pass, remember?
It was clean.
And it was like we were all like, wait, what?
It was like a Nick Foles in the Super Bowl, the Philly special.
The Philly, yeah.
100%.
Isn't that something? All right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we can go through a couple of more NFL stories, but there is one story that is turning heads in the UFL regarding new rules, and I'm wondering if this is something that you would like to see in the NFL. We've seen this in the past where, these rules in the XFL or in the UFL, USFL, XFL have made their way into the NFL, and I'm curious what you guys have to think about this one. We'll do that next, but first a message from Dr. Pierce.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury advice with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays, which is tomorrow, with us here on Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that D-Mac trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to help keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944. We'll be right back.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
I think you won.
This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
I know you're tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch. There it is. It's a new era in sports wearables. We got new designs, amazing apparels, all on shop.woodwardsports.com. Hoodies, tees, hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. Everyone's going to be asking you where to get them. All you have to do is tell them to go to shop.woodwardsports.com. Tigers will be opening. Before you know it, get you some Tigers gear. If you need a new shirt, you need new hat, tees, shop.woodwardsports.com.
Isn't it funny when you find out some information and then you're able to use that information and then take it back to something like, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Connecting the dots.
100%. I was watching this interview and Quentin Tarantino came out and it was he had a foot fetish. I
know about that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
100%.
And then
so
you
now
watch all the movies.
I'm going back and I'm like, there's a lot of feet scenes in his movies. Most notably, his first movie, Dusk Till Dawn. When Selma Hayek's on that stage or where the vampires eventually attack. But there's a lot of emphasis with the camera on her feet.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Selma, so they're beautiful. But it's just funny. So shout out to Quentin Tarantino for being honest. Coach Rex Ryan also shares.
Oh my God, so great. I wanted to get to this because the UFL, the United Football League, the Spring Football League, which is back for another year. I'm actually, I don't know why. I find myself more. Well, I do know why. It's football and it's something different. I find myself a little bit more intrigued by this year than I was in years past. But how about this new rule change? The UFL has announced that the league has eliminated onside kicks
completely.
The kickoff team will be able to retain possession of the ball with a 4th down and 12-yard play from scrimmage from its own 28-yard line. So a 4th and 12 instead of the onside kick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, love it. Would you make a tweak to it? Would you move it to the NFL?
I love it, and this is what I love about it. A lot of times games get out of hand. Like, this is us back in the day. When I was playing video games back in the day, games didn't get out of hand because I can go for it whenever the heck I want. I could go for it whenever I wanted to. This adds a different element. To be able to have it, that's attainable. 4th and 12 in this new NFL is attainable. How many times do we see teams complete 4th and 10 or more just in the playoffs alone?
Especially with penalties.
100% with penalties. But that's the other thing, too, is with the NFL and where it's going is it's almost like you just throw it the right DB, you can get that penalty. But I do like it because sometimes I think games get out of hand and they don't necessarily have to. This gives it a chance to keep going. And once again, too, if you allow a team to convert that 4th and 12, that's on you.
45 onside kicks in the 2024 season. How many were recovered?
4.
3. You were close.
But all right, so I guess I understood why they got rid of the full kickoff for safety. Why are they attacking or getting rid of the onside kick?
Because you have to announce the onside kick.
I know that.
Because
that's
you take the element of surprise out of it, but you have to announce it because it's a different alignment.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand why they touched it in the first place. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
They touched the kickoff for injuries.
Yeah. No onside kick. Who got injured doing? Is that
nobody? But they adjusted the kickoff. But because you would have to have a different alignment for an onside kick, because you would have to have a different alignment for the onside kick, you have to announce it. 3 of 45 is null and void.
Yeah,
it's a pointless play in the NFL. Yeah. The reason why the NFL does not have the extra point that moved the extra point back because the extra point was a pointless play in the NFL. They do not like automatic plays in the NFL. That's why they're going to tinker with, the kickoff rule too, and be, the touchback will be at the 35-yard line and not the 20. Right. That's what they'll vote on this year.
Think about the Lions playing against the Washington Commanders if this rule was implemented. Now, the Lions should have been in that position in the first place. That's understood. With that said, what if this situation existed when the Lions were in that situation? That game wouldn't have necessarily looked like it did because when it was 10 minutes left, the game looked out of hand. It was out of hand. Now if you score one and now you have this. When J-Mo hits that reverse, now maybe you don't have to come back and throw a J-Mo reverse pass. Maybe you can just score a regular touchdown and if not, come out and do this. So I like it.
I got to see it before I make a judgment on it. I got to see how it works.
I think it would be the only thing I would tweak to this rule to make it a little bit more. I think the 28-yard line is too close. Is too close. I would make it the 20.
Yeah.
Oh,
I agree.
I would go back.
I agree.
I would make it at the 20.
So,
I would think it's too far.
Your own 20.
I agree.
Because if you make it, you're essentially
you're at your 28.
If you do make the first down, you're essentially getting the ball at the 40.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it's at the
and
20,
you got
get it to 32.
20 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still serviceable. Okay. I feel like if you get on 4th and 12, like you deserve it.
Yeah, right. You're right.
It's an offensive player,
but again, in today's NFL, that's not
far at all.
That's not a difficult play.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's not a difficult play, but this isn't 1995 where you're like, 4th and 12. People go 4th and 12 at the 50.
Right.
I can tell you 5 times the Lions got a 4th and 10 or more off the top of my head. Dave Montgomery got 2 runs, by the way. Amon-Ra St. Brown had about 3 catches of that distance. And J-Mo caught a huge one against the Vikings, I want to say 4th and 12 or so. That's just off the top of my head. It's very attainable.
Should the NFL do that? Would you like to see that move in the NFL?
I got to see it first.
Yeah.
I don't want the NFL to get too gimmicky.
Yeah.
I like the move.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also have to go back to me being one that's watched the NFL since I was able to watch and retain the information. I played in this league as well. A lot of things that are happening I love. But in some of it, it has a gimmick type feeling. I don't want it to become more gimmicky because then I started looking at the game in a different light. You start looking at the game in a different light, so don't get too gimmicky.
No, don't get too gimmicky.
Yeah,
gotcha. Going to the Pistons game tonight, are you?
Yeah. You know what I am. Shout out to my guy. Yeah, I've been wanting to see these Pistons. I went to the game against Dallas. They beat Dallas. Adam Silver was there. You remember the story. And I saw what they were building, much like we all have watched. And it's only gotten better since that game, Ryan Amani. 7 games in a row, first time since 2014. Everybody knows the math on that. I want to see what they can do against the best in the NBA because I know the Cavs have the best record, but we all know who's going to be in that finals when push comes to shove. It's the team that keeps beating up on the Cavs, and that is the Celtics. So Jason Tatum, Cade Cunningham, superstar for superstar. I want to see how they look against this team and the games at home. I'm excited.
How important is a game like this to the Pistons? Because I do anticipate them being in the 6th spot. I don't know. Do they go to 5? Do they go to 4? I don't know. And how advantageous do you think, that 4 or 5 spot? The Pistons or the Celtics have so far won all 3 games against the Pistons this season.
Yeah.
Couple of them haven't even been close. And if you're a Pistons fan, if you are holding out hope that they can not only make the playoffs, which they will, barring something completely tragic and unforeseen, not only – sorry, there's a little bit of a fly. As a Pistons fan, and you hold out hope that they can do something in the playoffs, would you rather them play a second-round matchup against Boston or a second-round matchup against Cleveland? And that is where I'm at in this 6-5-4 because if you look at the postseason right now, the standings, the Pistons are in the 6th spot. The 6th spot would get the Cleveland Cavaliers most likely in the next round.
Right.
If you go in that 4-5 matchup, you're looking at the Celtics in the 2nd round. And forgive me, I don't want anything to do with Boston in the 2nd round. And that's assuming you get through the first round. I do think the Pistons can beat the Knicks. That would be a 3-6 matchup in the postseason, in the playoffs. Setting up a second-round matchup. I can't even believe we're talking about winning playoff matchups and who you want in the postseason. And after the Lions playoffs and wishing for an opponent, I don't know if I'm the right person to wish for any opponents after wishing for Washington in the playoffs. But I think the best track, the best road for the Pistons would be to avoid the Boston Celtics. But a win tonight would do something for their confidence. Anyway, I do think it's a big game.
The fact that we're having this conversation alone, you're very excited. Look, I just want the Pistons to get to the playoffs. I could care less about either one of those teams that they play because they're going to lose. Like, the Pistons are new. I appreciate what they're doing. It's dope. It's fun to see. I'm going to be there. They'll win. Potentially, they'll win round 1. I'm comfortable with that. But they won't win against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have been here before. They'll have guards that turn it up. The playoff level basketball is very different than the regular season. You know how you watch games and, like, guys turn it up about 9 minutes left, Ricky? You see the stars. All right, time to turn that. Well, that's the whole game in the playoffs. That's the whole series. So it wouldn't matter. Both those teams will have something to prove. But if we're picking one, I'd say the Cavs, because I think there's just a little bit of more chill and relax and reserve from Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, where it's like, all right, we'll beat this team. And they'll leave a door open to where maybe you sneak a game, maybe 2. Boston Celtics won't be going for it. Boston Celtics, once the playoff starts, they're going to turn that thing up. They're reigning, defending. I wouldn't want to play them.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I think there's a little bit of optimism, actually a lot of optimism tonight, Bray, especially if you're going to the game tonight. According to our Caesars Sportsbook app here, our friends here at Caesars, the Pistons are only 4.5-point underdogs to the reigning NBA champions. They're plus 162, and the over-under is the second second lowest on the docket for this evening. And I think that, Ryan, you're going to get the answer to your question tonight if the Pistons happen to beat the Boston Celtics again on the second night of their back-to-back, because Vegas has a lot of optimism tonight on the Pistons actually pulling off the upset.
It's also, too, because they know who the Pistons have to place on Friday.
Right.
They got to go against the Cleveland Cavs again.
Exactly.
This Friday, they just played the Raptors, who were nothing. They exerted no energy. This one, they know the Cavs to take the Celtics to take the foot off the gas a little bit and do what we talked about. Try to sneak one, in the last 9 minutes and not turn up, because they want that energy for Cleveland.
Right.
Because they're at the point where they're 8 games behind Cleveland now, or 6 games behind Cleveland. So that's why that line is as it is. I feel like I'm Maz now predicting the future, because they know Friday.
That's all I kind of
It's the
felt
Cleveland
like.
Cavaliers and the Celtics.
I love it. Guys, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to get Braylon's take on a video that from me, a take that I had, 108,000 views. It went a little bit crazy on the old X.
Okay.
And people were not happy with me. Want to talk to you about that next. Well, there was 92,000 views on my Hendon Hooker take and 108,000 views on my Michigan State take. I want to get your take on that.
Canceled?
Coming up, but first a message from Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. Get to Les Stanford for the sign and drive sale. Get a 2024 Envision for only $239 per month, or try out the 2025 Sierra Crew Cab Elevation, only $249 per month. Don't forget about that 2025 Hummer EV SUV for only $789 per month. 0 security deposit, 0 do-it signing, 0 first month payment, and 0 acquisition fee. Get to Les Stanford today. Check out their massive inventory at the sign and drive sale. Les Stanford Buick GMC, LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com. Together, let's drive.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at LesStanford.com today.
WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
Far be it from me to get hammered on social media, but I was getting hammered on social media for a couple of things. I wanted your take on it, Braylon.
Okay.
So one of the things I completely own. The other thing that I got hammered for, I think, was taken a little bit out of context for maybe a little clickbait.
Okay.
But we'll start with the one thing that I absolutely own, and that is my stance on the Michigan State game over the weekend. That I did not lose any sleep. I didn't care about it. I didn't feel any other way about it. Sure, I wanted Michigan to win because they were playing Michigan State. I wanted them to win, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that they lost the game, I don't care. Because nobody cares in college basketball outside of maybe a couple of your fans, and I'm not even sure all of them care, how many conference titles you've won. They only care about Final Fours and national championships. And if Michigan wins the Final Four or gets to the Final Four and, heaven forbid, gets to a national championship or wins a national championship, I don't think anybody cares about what happened on a February night in Ann Arbor. And conversely, I don't think anybody at Michigan State, any of their fans, care if they don't make it to the Final Four or if they don't make it to a national championship, that they won the Big Ten championship. How many Michigan State fans will say, but we won the Big Ten championship that year? Yeah. It just, the goals in college basketball are simple. National championship, Final Fours.
Right.
And everything after that, non-existent. Nobody cares who wins the SEC championship. Sorry, Kentucky. Nobody cares about who wins the Big 12 championship. Sorry, Kansas. They only care if you're an elite program, if you believe you're elite, or if you believe you have a chance to win it all, if you've gotten to the Final Four or won the national championship. Am I wrong? Am I out of bounds?
No, you're not, and that's because, real talk, there's two ways you can win the conference. Like, you can win the conference just right in the regular season. Then you can turn around and win the conference in the conference tournament. So you tell you, who won the Big Ten? Well, we won the regular season, but insert team won the Big Ten tournament. So it starts there, 100%. And everything that you said, nobody talks about who's won these games. Now, look, I like to be Michigan State in basketball because throughout history, they're a better team. Now, recent history, I would say Michigan had the better run in the Final Four in terms of how far teams have gotten. But, yes, they're the basketball school, so it's fun to be State in basketball, just like we're the football school. It's fun for them to be as in football. It hasn't happened in a while. But
QT puts it perfectly, though, Bray. Bragging rights is the only value. Right. The only value of that game is bragging rights. And sorry, at 45 years old, maybe I don't care about bragging rights anymore. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's me. I don't care about the bragging rights. Give me the championships. Give me the Final Fours and beyond.
Yeah, like the bragging rights, they're different in basketball.
Yes, I'm 46 now. Sorry.
Old age catching up to you.
No, they're different in college basketball. So, no, even those bragging rights, like Michigan to play Michigan State again March 9th. We'll see what happens. Let's say Michigan State beats Michigan twice. Does it matter? What does Michigan State do in the tournament? What do they do in the conference tournament to set themselves up for the Big Four, the big day?
And Braylon, the goalposts have changed. And weigh in here, Ricky, too, if you want. The goalposts have changed in college sports.
Yes.
They just have. Ask Ohio State if, yes, they want to beat Michigan. They want to beat Michigan. But would you trade a win against your rival for a win in the national championship game?
Not at all. Not even Ohio State.
You would not trade a national champion? No, yeah, I think we're on the same page. You would take the national championship.
Yes.
Not even for Ohio State.
Right.
Yeah, not even for Ohio State.
Ohio State showed us this year. There is not a team that hates another team more in this country than Ohio State hates Michigan. I know about Auburn and Alabama and Georgia. I don't want to hear it. I lived in Ohio. Like, I don't want to hear about LSU and I don't want to hear it. I lived in Ohio. They could not get past the fact that I played for the University of Michigan, that my driver's license said Michigan, that my number was 313. That state did not care that I was playing for the Browns. They did not care because they couldn't get over the rivalry. So for their fan base to now say on social, you've heard it all since they won, and we don't care about the Michigan, for them to say that, it lets you know how real it is where the regular season doesn't matter.
Couple of chats. Cody Engel, our good friend. Cody's a great listener, and I appreciate it, even though he will bash once in a while. Had Ermanni and had Michigan won, Braylon and Ermanni would have rolled out the maize and blue carpet. I completely would not have.
Yeah.
I don't even know. And if they beat Michigan State at the end of the regular season to win the Big Ten championship, I will be happy, yes. But I'm not going to go goo-goo gaga because this team's goals, in my opinion, are much higher than that. You only get excited for these things if you think there's a cap on the season. I do not think there's a cap on Michigan's season. Is that nice to have along the way? Absolutely.
Look,
but if you don't have it, does it really matter?
Look, at the end of the day, I went to Michigan, so I want to beat Michigan State. 100%, I want to beat them. But with that being said, basketball is different. I just said it. If they beat you, you're the basketball school. So, yes, I'm going to sit here and talk stuff about Michigan State if they lose to Michigan. We're the football school. When we beat you guys, I don't even say anything because I expect to win. That's what my level was at. I don't care about basketball. So, if we win, I'm gonna talk stuff because I'm supposed to. Just like when Michigan State beats Michigan, you're supposed to talk stuff in football. But I look at the game, it's like, yeah, we'll beat them, and then we're moving on to the next one. And that's typically what happens. That's typically what happens in basketball.
I love it.
Michigan State typically beats Michigan, and they move on to the next game. So, yeah, we want to win, but it ain't that deep for me. Now, you beat me in football, and then it's the issue.
And so the next thing that I was getting killed for, Braylon Edwards, was my take on Hendon Hooker, which I think was a little taken out of context, but I'm not going to be mad at it because you got 92,000 views on it. And that's what this.
That's pretty good.
Not going to be mad at it, but saying that Hendon.
No such thing as bad.
Right. Saying that Hendon Hooker was a bad pick. The very next line I said, I would do it again. 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sunday. Yeah. But this would be the year to cash in on a Hendon Hooker pick.
Yes.
Right? This would be the year if he was that guy.
What's the tweet exactly? The tweet exactly basically like if he was that good, somebody would pick him up.
Yeah, if the pick of Hendon Hooker was a bad pick because he clearly doesn't have it. What we said, the discussion was Hendon Hooker clearly isn't that guy because this would be the perfect year to cash in on a Hendon Hooker.
Gotcha. Pick up,
Yeah, you drafted him in the third round. He is everything that you thought he would be. He's not going to be the franchise quarterback here in Detroit at 27 years old. Goff isn't going anywhere. It's a weak free agent class. It's a weak draft class. Maybe somebody like Cleveland would be more enticed to take a deal from Detroit if you made Hendon Hooker a centerpiece of that deal.
Right.
That's how you cash in on that pick.
Yeah,
but it just didn't turn out that way.
And I get what you were saying.
But I would do it again. I would pick him every single time.
I get what you're saying, and the people here in Detroit, you can't say anything about their team or their players because they will crucify you, even if they're wrong. At the end of the day, he was drafted in the third round. It was a hope that he would be something. He hasn't gotten a chance to start. He hasn't got a chance to get in there and get a lot of time. But if he was something serious, if he was something special, we would know. Like, you would know. Simply put, Dak Prescott, that got drafted in the fourth round, one after Hendon. You knew early on that it was going to work out there for Dallas once Tony Romo got hurt. You knew it. Dak came in, run game, boom, boom, boom. You saw enough out of Dak to know there's definitely something here. There's definitely some quarterback play here that we can use as a franchise quarterback for some time. But you see that early. It doesn't take you 4 years or 5 years or to get into the game. So a little harsh because he hadn't had a chance to prove himself. But to what my brother is saying, there's a lot of validity there.
Tigers today, game just gone final in Grapefruit League play. They lose to the Minnesota Twins 4-0. Not so much. We don't really care about the result, but we do care about.
Much like the Michigan State game.
That's right. We do care about. Tarek Skubal was on the mound today. 2 clean innings. He did give up a hit. No walks and a strikeout. So good news for Skubal there. Shocker that A.J. Hinch named Tarek Skubal the starting pitcher on opening day.
What? It's funny that when he gave up a hit, he was like, oh, he did give up
a
hit. But
wow.
That shows you how good Tarek Skubal is.
Right.
Because you looked at that almost like it was a typo. Like, wait, did he give up a hit? Yeah. No, I'm glad we have him on the squad, man. Side note, I can't wait for that USA versus the World tournament again. Like, I was looking at, was it Dominican's team? Dominican Republic's team is like, it's impossible to beat. and I was looking at what the roster could be for USA. Like, the hot bit of talent that comes out of DR is freaking insane. Their backups are by far the best players on most teams.
Just for quickly for the news today, and again, I think one of the big stories in Grapefruit League play for the Detroit Tigers this year is what will Spencer Torkelson be this year. I mean, he's got to get off to a fast start. He's got to perform well. Is there a place for him on this roster even?
What's the time? What's the time period for you to see what he's talking about? Like, how long did
I don't even know. I don't even know. Is there a time period for me? I guess I would just go with what the organization believes he is. You know, I mean, 0 for 2 today. He did 0 for 2 today. I mean, I'm rooting for the guy. I am.
Yeah. We all are, but
it just feels
our
like
team is the Tigers.
Just feels like there's no home for him right now. He's almost positionless. You know what I mean? He plays one position. You've made the decision to move Colt Keith there. You've made that decision. And he doesn't swing enough of a bat to be a DH right now anyway. What does this mean for him? I don't know, man. I'm rooting for him. It's not like, look, it's 4 games. He's been in there a couple of times. 0 for 2 today, but not going to freak out about that. Yeah. He's just a player I'm rooting for. That's all I can say about it.
Right? I just wish that we hadn't seen what we saw 2 years ago. Like, we saw him catch fire, and we saw him get to the 30 home run mark.
Yep.
Because now everything that we're comparing is to that 30 home run mark. We're comparing to what we saw. It was like, we know he can get the ball out the park. Like, we know, when is he going to do it? When is he going to be able to do it? I wish we hadn't seen that, because now it's tough. Now he was bad last year.
Maybe he should study his swing.
He was very bad last year, and you hate to talk about a player, but you know.
Maybe he should study his swing, which he says he does not do.
Right.
He does not watch video of his swing. Maybe change something.
Red Wings off tonight. They got another win yesterday. They're 4 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning for third place in the Atlantic Division. They are the first wild card spot in the Eastern Conference after the win last night. The 4 points clear of the playoffs. This thing is going to go down to the wire. Red Wings with an exciting game at LCA last night, and will look to keep it going. Incredible what this team has become under
another
Tom
good coach.
McClellan.
Yeah,
Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane, when the game's on the line or in overtime, like, it's something special. Like, he's a special player. He's going to the Hall of Fame. We know he was in Chicago, but even here in Detroit, like, it seems when the moment gets to the overtime and they need his skill, he delivers.
No doubt about it.
Consistently.
No doubt about it. All right, Braylon. Workouts begin at the NFL Combine tomorrow. What do you recall back to how you felt heading into the Combine? And I don't even remember. Did you even work out at the Combine?
I did the bench press, and I did the interview.
What is that decision like? First of all, we can get into this tomorrow, but I just want to hear your take today.
It's about where you're going. It's about where you feel comfortable. Like, every mock draft that had come out to that point, February 21st, actually, which is my birthday, is when the Combine was. It was all 4 and higher, like 4 and higher. So we made the decision. There's only you, Mark Clayton, and Mike Williams. They said you're faster than both of them. You're taller than Mark Clayton. So we'll get in shape. We'll get the most that we can out of our drills, out of our practice before March 18th, which was my pro day. So it gave us an extra month. I went there. I bench pressed. I thought that was fun for them to see. I was, oh, man, 22 reps. Boy. I was like, I could do that in my sleep. But I did that. The process, it's interesting.
Were you nervous? Like, what was your?
And that's what I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to be that guy. But
or were you just young and you were so confident you didn't?
Like, I knew where I was going.
Right.
Yeah. I knew I was the best wide receiver in the country. I won the Biletnikoff. I broke all Michigan's records in the big games. I showed up. I beat Ohio State. Gave them 170 in the touchdown. Like Texas. We played Texas, who had, off that defense, they had 9. Let me stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. They had 5 first-round players on that defense. I had 3 touchdowns, and it really wasn't hard. So for me, it was just a matter of just go on there, go on the board, and show them what you can do in the classroom. Like that's where I was at. I want to show them. I want to show the classroom. I wanted the interview process. I want them to know this isn't a dummy. This isn't somebody just coming in with some skill and nothing behind it. Yeah, you're getting the full package, pun intended.
We see these videos now that are posted about the formal meetings. I mean, with the quarterbacks, with the wide receivers, anybody really. I mean, Dan Campbell and the Lions have had some of their interviews even posted with interviews. Not this year, but in years past. Is that what it was like, or is it different now?
No, that's what it's like. But that's where you choosing an agent is very valuable. That will prepare you for the process, because going to the combine is about more than just running the 40, doing a vert, doing the L drill, a 3-cone, and the L drill. It's about interviewing. It's about showing what you know in the classroom. It's about temperament, because there'll be people that are trying to get under your skin on purpose. They want to see how you act in certain situations. My agent, Lamont Smith, shout out to him, All Pro Sports Management, they prepared us. Like, we did interviews twice a week when we weren't running or on the track or in the gym. We did interviews. He prepared me for it. All right, now these are the kind of questions that this team might ask you or this team might ask you. So the first one still was a little nerve-wracking. It was the 49ers, because they had the number 1 pick. They were my favorite team growing up. Like, Dr. Harry Edwards, interviewed me, and it was about a little bit more than sports. So I was finding my way through. But once I found my rhythm in that interview, the rest was easy. I lifted well, and then I didn't have to run or catch or do anything. So I really wasn't under pressure.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, right.
What an experience.
Totally.
They should
just have a combine for regular people. You can just go and see where you stack up.
Led by Rich Eisen.
Oh,
I will say this, though. So my agent told me not to run. He said, look, because I had an ingrown toenail, and I got it pulled out the day or two before I went, so my toe really still hurt.
Oh.
So he was like, don't run, you'll be good. We'll give us more time, plus you don't need to run. And then the night before, I'm up, I can't sleep. I'm in the hallway, sprinting full speed down the hallway just to see how my toe felt. I'm like, my toe feels okay. I said, I really feel like I can go. That next morning, I was actually I guess this was like 3 a.m. So later on that day, I was planning on running. My agent flew in and didn't tell me. And I saw him in the hotel lobby as we were, with the sweats and the book bags and in line, falling over to the RCA Dome, which is now Lucas Oil. So it's how old I am. Saw me and grabbed me. He said, don't you do it. He said, don't
Somebody
you do it.
told him. Somebody called him.
Like, he knew that I'm a competitor.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Do you remember what your goal was?
Right.
And what you would?
Anything sub 4.4.
Anything sub 4.4.
Yeah, I ran 4.3.
What do you think you could run it now in?
Right.
If I had time to train, or just like right now?
Just right now.
Go down 10 minutes to stretch. 10 minutes stretch.
Woodward.
If I get 10 minutes to stretch.
Yeah, Woodward.
Probably
5?
Probably 4.85.
Really?
Wow, dude.
I could probably.
Because I know how to run the race, so I can know how to.
Right.
Yeah.
I could do it in 7.2.
Okay.
When you say you know how to run the race, is there a trick to it?
Oh, I'm just long-legged, so for me it would be to get out with a good stride, and then use my stride length to propel me the distance. And that way I'm not out trying to run in the beginning and pull a hamstring, and because I am 42 now. So, but just use the stride length. Get out good. Get tight with the set.
Yeah.
That first step is key. You explode. That is what it is. You explode out, and then from your second step, you're now making up ground and get 45 meters or 35 meters down the track, because your start should get you to 5.
That is the part of sports that I love, and I will never have access to.
Yeah.
Like, just a conversation between a player and an agent. Should we work out? Should we not work out?
Right.
Yeah.
Should I run? Should I not run? Where do you really think I am in terms of, top 15, first round, back in the first round? And conversely, for these organizations, how you decide on which players you will request formal interviews with. Yeah. That's the part of the sports that I love, because it's so intriguing. We have no idea. We think we know what goes on in those rooms and what those conversations are. We have no idea, because most of that stuff never comes out.
Right.
I remember there was a year where, just in terms of NFL draft, Prince Amon-Ra from Nebraska.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody had to mock him to the Lions in the draft, and come to find out later that he wasn't even on their draft board. The Lions, for some reason, they took him off the board. And I would love to know what those conversations were like to take that player off the board.
That's why Hard Knocks is so good.
That's why
it gives you
is
the inside.
But even to that, and I agree with you, but even to that, they don't go in there.
You want it unedited.
Last year was the furthest they went with the Joe Shane, Saquon Barkley.
That was wild.
NFL offseason with the Giants.
Good call.
Braylon, it's been great to be back with you. Michigan State tonight, Pistons tonight, Red Wings tomorrow. So we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow, Braylon.
Hopefully Matt's back.
He's not feeling good. There's something going around. So I think
my daughter's sick too.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
Wash your
man.
hands out there, everybody.
That's right.
This is true.
Don't put your hands in your mouth. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face.
6 feet.
No, I don't care about that. Greg, get us out of here, buddy.
Look, I want to give a shout out, and this is from this past weekend for my birthday. I received velvet cake, and it was amazing. I want to give a shout out to Shola Vault, who made the red velvet cake, and Big Sister Rita Eaton, who indeed handled it and paid for it. It was delicious. My family and I enjoyed it. Just want to say shout out and thank you for that. Also, I want to thank you guys for listening to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Maz will be here tomorrow. Hopefully, Ricky, Pete, hell of a job by you guys, man. Look, it's the off season, but there's still things to talk about. Don't take anything that we say on the show too serious, because we're not. We're just 5 guys having a good time.
That's
Balls, take care.